Ah, whoa, ah, oh.
So, this week we're going to study one of the most important people in human history, a man honored by Jews, Muslims, and Christians alike, a man whose covenant with God is still active today, and that includes you. This week we meet Abraham, and his story is about to change how you see your own. So, welcome to Come Listen With Me. I'm Ricky Black, aka Elder Eliezer, and this is our Sunday preview of week 8 of our Old Testament study. This week, February 16th through 22nd, we're diving into Genesis, chapters 12 through 17, along with Abraham, chapters 1 and 2 inside the Pearl of Great Price. And this is going to be a pretty incredible week. So who is Abraham, and why does his story matter so much? Well, the Come Follow Me manual calls him the father of the faithful and the friend of God. But here's what makes his story so powerful. Abraham came from a troubled family. His own father had turned away from God and actually tried to have Abraham sacrificed to false gods. So can you imagine that? Your own father trying to kill you for worshiping a true and living God. But Abraham's desire, according to Abraham chapters 1, verse 2, was to be a greater follower of righteousness. And because of that desire, because of his faith, God made a covenant with him that would bless all the families of the earth. And that includes your family. That includes you. So this week we're going to see Abraham's call to leave everything he knew and go to an unknown land, his trial in Egypt and how God protected him and Sarah, his encounter with the mysterious priest king Melchizedek, the incredible covenant ceremony where God himself walked through fire, the heartbreaking story of Hagar and Ishmael, and the transformation that came when God changed Abram's name to Abraham and Sarai's name to Sarah. So this isn't just ancient history for a family, right? This is our story, because when we make covenants with God through baptism and in the temple, we become Abraham's seed. We inherit his promise, and we take on his mission to bless all the families of the earth. And in addition to our learning, I'm really excited about this week's song. It's called Leave and Become, Abraham's Road. And this one has a vibe to it. We're talking dance pop, energetic, positive, uplifting, the kind of song that honestly kind of makes you want to move while you're learning about one of the greatest examples of faith in Scripture. Because Abraham's story isn't sad or heavy, it's triumphant. It's about leaving behind what holds you back and becoming something that God has called you to be. And the song, it drops today, and it's going to be on repeat in my house all week. So trust me, you're going to want to add this one to the playlist. Again, Leave and Become, Abraham's Road. Now, this week, we're also going to explore something really special. For the first time in our Come Follow Me study, we have a Thoughts to Keep in Mind section. Now, these are special deeper dive articles that the church has included to help us understand key themes and doctrines. And this week's theme, the covenant. Now, I know covenant is one of those words we hear all the time in church. We make covenants at baptisms. We renew them when we take the sacrament. We make additional covenants in the temple. But what is a covenant, and why does God work through covenants instead of just, giving us blessings without all the formality? Here's where the Come Follow Me manual teaches us. It says, a covenant is a sacred agreement between God and his children. It's not just God making promises to us. It's a two-way relationship where we both make commitments. When God makes a covenant, he promises specific blessings. And when we make a covenant, we promise specific obedience and faithfulness. But here's what's beautiful about the Abrahamic covenant. It shows us that God's promises are sure, that they're guaranteed, and they're backed by the character and power of God himself. Abraham didn't always get it right. He made a lot of mistakes. He showed fear. He tried to help God's plan along in his own way, and he created some problems in the process. But God's covenant with Abraham wasn't dependent upon Abraham's perfection. It was dependent upon God's faithfulness. And the same is true for us. Our covenant with God through Jesus Christ isn't dependent on our perfection. It's dependent upon God's faithfulness on the atonement of Jesus Christ. We make and keep covenants not to earn God's love. We already have that. We make and keep covenants to access God's power, to become who he knows we can be, to receive the blessings that he's been trying to give us all along. So this thoughts to keep in mind section on the covenant is going to help us understand what it means to be a covenant people, and what it means to have access to Abraham's blessings, and what it means that God has sworn an oath to us, an oath that he will never break. And because this covenant theme is so important, we've also got a second song coming this week. It's called I Will Be Your God, the Covenant. And this one is completely different from the Abraham song. It's a melodic pop with a half-sung, half-spoken vocal storytelling type of style. So think of it like God is having a conversation with you, telling you the story of his covenant and his promises. It's intimate, it's powerful, and, it gives me chills every now and then. It's one of the ones that's already on repeat inside my playlist and has been for a while, and I've been waiting to get here so I can drop it for all of you. The song is specifically designed to help you understand and feel what it means that God says to his covenant people, I will be your God and you will be my people. It's not just a nice phrase. It's a binding promise from the creator of the universe. So I will be your God, the covenant, also is dropping today. And you're gonna want both of those songs in your scripture for study for your playlist. It's absolutely gonna kind of really help make a lot of sense and help kind of remind you of it throughout the week as you continue your study. So, all right, let me break down the 6-day reading schedule for this week so you know exactly what we're covering each day. And again, this reading schedule will be down in the list. And if you don't read it or you forget about it, don't worry. We'll have the daily readings come out. You'll just pick up every day with exactly what it tells you on that day. So Monday on the 17th, we're going to be doing Genesis 12, 1 through 9, and Abraham 1 through 19. We're focusing on Abraham's call on the covenant and Abraham's early life seeking righteousness. Tuesday, it's going to be Genesis 12, 10 through 20, and all of Genesis 13, right? The trials in Egypt and Abraham's separation from Lot. We get to Wednesday, it's going to be Genesis 14 and Abraham 2, 1 through 11. It's where Abraham, the warrior and the priest, right? This is where he meets Melchizedek. And then Genesis, on Thursday, it's going to be Genesis 15 and Abraham 2, verses 12 to 25, where the covenant's really confirmed, and we get that sort of incredible ceremony where God walks through fire. And on Friday, the 21st, it's all about Genesis 16 and the story of Hagar, Ishmael, and what happens when we try to fulfill God's promise in our own way. And then to round out the week on day 6, Saturday, February 22nd, it's going to be Genesis 17. Right? New names, new covenant, new sign, Abraham and Sarah, going through their transformation. And again, each day we'll have a focused reading with questions to help you dig deeper into the text and make sure you're getting the most out of this. Also be, having some deep dive sessions. So make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the daily videos. The little notification bell will just tell you every single day when the reading is dropped, so that way you can read along with it to help keep you on track for your weekly study. Now, if you're someone who loves to really geek out on scripture, and I know many of you are, we've also got something special coming. Midweek, I'm going to be dropping a full academic deep dive on the Abrahamic covenant as an ancient Near East treaty. We're talking about how covenant ceremonies actually worked in the ancient world, right? Like what it meant when God walked through those divided animals, why Abraham was put to sleep, and how this ceremony in Genesis 15 points directly to the cross of Jesus Christ. And this is the kind of content you won't get in, your gospel doctrine, your Sunday school class. Not because any of it's controversial, but because there's just not enough time to go through it all. And if you want to understand the Abrahamic covenant at a deeper level, make sure that you catch the deep dive video later this week. It's probably going to be, 30 to 40 minutes, but it's going to be scriptural gold, and I'm sure you're going to get something out of it. It'll also create a nice point for conversation, which I'm looking forward to having all of you comment and be a part of. So, all right. Here's your challenge for this week. Abraham's defining characteristic was faith. He believed God's promises even when they seemed impossible. So this week, I want you to identify one promise that God has made to you, either through scripture, through a patriarchal blessing, through a prompting, or through a priesthood blessing. Write it down. And then every day this week, I want you to do what Abraham did. Believe that promise, even if it seems impossible, even if you can't see how it could possibly happen. Abraham believed God about descendants when he and Sarah were old and childless and barren. He believed God about land when he was only a nomad with no permanent home. And he believed in God about blessing all nations when his family had tried to kill him for his own faith. So what promise from God do you need to believe this week? Write it down. pray about it and watch what happens when you exercise Abrahamic-like faith. So this is going to be an incredible week of study. It's Abraham's story. It's your story. It's your covenant. It's his God. It's your God. And just like God told Abraham, I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. God is saying the same thing to you. So make sure you're subscribed, have the notifications turned on so you don't miss any of our daily readings, and drop a comment and let me know what's one thing you're excited to learn about Abraham this week. And don't forget to grab both of this week's songs when they drop. Again, that's Leave and Become Abraham's Road for the energetic, faith-filled vibe, and the second song, I Will Be Your God, the covenant, for that intimate understanding of what it means to be in covenant with God. Anyway, I'll see you Monday as we begin our journey with Abraham. Until then, keep studying, keep pondering, and keep seeking to be like Abraham, a greater follower of righteousness. So let's leave everything behind and become everything God has called us to be. See you Monday, and thanks for taking a moment to come listen with me.
Count the stars, write my faith in the Milky Way. When the night says wait, when the famine comes, you are the promise beating like a drum. From Abram to Abraham, I carry your word to be a greater follower of righteousness on earth. I will go, and in going I become, leave and become. Famine in the land, and we head